While many people may consider this as a continuing process of the demonetization and its effect on the country, and the ruling government may pat itself on the shoulders thinking that they have actually going to get more TRP ratings because of this step that they have taken, it shows a growing intolerance and, unfortunately, an egoistic attitude towards the common man. For a government that claims that they worry about the ordinary citizen, this bill shows a shocking lack of empathy where our workers are concerned. There doesn't seem to be a reality check on what the real life issues are for an employee in this country at different wage hierarchies. All this looks lovely on paper, sir. On black and white, it looks innocuous, unthreatening, and assumedly a responsible step to take. But is that what it really is? What was the overriding compulsion for this government to bring in an ordinance, despite the fact that Parliament was in session? First, they arrogantly bypass the Parliament and its democratic processes. Then they bring in an ordinance like this, and now they slip in this bill and demand that it should be passed and accepted. So what is rising alarmingly is the absolute disconnect between the citizen and the reality checks. Sir, as Mr. Raja had rightly pointed out, is there any concept and awareness of what working conditions are in this country? Obviously they're not. You take away the right of the citizen and the employee by saying that you will be paid only by check. Are you aware how long the banks take to process a check? How many days delay an employee faces in clearance of a check? How long does he have to do without cash? Sir, the without cash syndrome is carrying on even now. To date, as a citizen, I have no right to go to the bank and take out the amount of money that I want and the money that I have earned and I have in good will and trust deposited in the bank. The banks are making money on my money, but I have no right to access my own money. I am curtailed, my rights are infringed on, and the government continues to carry on this steamrolling of our rights. If an employee has to be paid by check, please give me the answers. How do you propose to do it in the unorganized sector? Where are your banking facilities? Do you have enough bandwidth for e-commerce and e-money? Are you able to actually access the citizen in the remote areas? In what distance are the existing banks? Do you have adequate branches? Do you have a method by which you will facilitate the citizen to reach a bank? Sir, in rural and cooperative banks, the saddest statement is people who get a posting in a remote area spend all their time and energy to get out of that posting and go somewhere else. Reality is, once in a week, maybe the bank will operate in rural areas. What happens to the employee then, sir? Where does he go? You give us the alternative. Give us the checks and balances. And then say you follow this or else. But you can't make sweeping reforms of what you think are reforms. And in one stroke, take away all the rights of a citizen. We are living in an era of absolute uncertainty. Even if the Prime Minister of India today says something, citizens are not in a position to accept or believe it because the next day the rule changes. Initial demonetization, sir. In 50 days, 68 rules were changed. Every day we see people on television from the ruling party, including the Prime Minister, who threaten, intimidate, tell us of terrible consequences. This is a democracy. By the people, for the people, of the people, sir. The fundamental principles of democracy is that, and this House reflects that democracy. Unfortunately, the government doesn't seem to understand that. By bringing in this without laying down the infrastructure in the areas, who is going to mitigate the misery of the employee when he is without any money in his hand for the next so many weeks? By the time his employees, sir, do they actually believe that the Anganwadi teachers, of course it's an honorarium, it's not a wage, but do you believe that state governments actually play straight? Money devolved from the central government, which goes for payment of wages, is quite often not devolved monthly wise, but actually clubbed together and delivered once in 6 months. How do you expect citizens to live? Can't you actually visualize that? Maybe what you should look at, sir, through you I appeal to the minister. What you need to look at is paying by check partly and giving some part payment in cash. You can't, it's an illegal thing what this government proposes to do. If you take away the right of the citizen and then enforce a law which says that if this is not done, you will be punished. That cannot happen, sir. It makes a mockery of democracy. As well as what Mr. Raja has said about agricultural workers. As it is, this demonetization has affected agricultural workers. They don't go and purchase food and grain and keep it in their house in 10s and 20s of kilos. They buy a kilo, kilo and a half, make do with that, and next when they have the cash, they go and buy the rest. They don't have cards to swipe and pay, sir, because there is no existing bandwidth in any of the villages to start with. So what happens to these people? Who cares about them? They don't count except for votes. Is that the attitude that we are going to collectively take in this esteemed House? Is this how we treat the people in the remote areas and villages of India? Is this the consideration that we give for them when they are sick, when they are needy, when they need something? We are going to tell them, no, bad luck. Your salary will come as a check. Who is going to take banks into accountability and ensure that the banks will cash in their check in an optimum time? Nothing is defined there. The banks can take their own sweet time earning interest on my money and may not even issue my money for the next 5 days, 7 days, and if God forbid bank holidays come in, then all those holidays. What happens to me as a citizen? Who empowers me? Who looks after my needs? I may have a crisis at home, a dying parent, a sick child. I may need medical attention for which I need to have my money. This is not endowing on me any kind of property of the Prime Minister or his members of Parliament or his ministers. This is not from their personal accounts that they're giving us benefits. My rights, sir. I have rightfully earned this money, and I should have a right to choose how I need to take my salary and how I wish to spend it. As it is, they've decided that unmarried girls are not entitled to keeping that much gold as a married woman. How bizarre and distorted is that to start with? To believe that there should be a discrimination between an unmarried woman and a woman, or any citizen for that matter. This government seems to have lost direction. There is an arrogance of belief that might is right, that you will bypass parliaments, bring in ordinances, steamroll citizens, and get praise from who do you care who praises you? Who are these people who are praising you? Are these the people who are connected with the remote corners of this country and the citizens of our nation? We face them, sir, as public representatives. We go into the remote areas. We represent the voice, the thought, and the heart of the citizen from this country. And what I am saying is not my belief system, sir. This is what has been asked for by every citizen in the remote area. They are in a fine state of panic. They believe that their wages will not be paid on time. The banks do not clear it. They do not have savings. They have no ability to feed themselves for the time lag that the banks take. Will the government give direction to the banks, sir? Sir, in all this, so much talk and loud noise has been made about the benefits of demonetization, which will reflect very soon, sir, in the next 5 state elections. We will see the results and the government will then begin to understand how demonetization has helped them. And, sir, I want to ask you that what are these so-called benefits that this government is talking about? Bankers, the money that came into the bank, so far we have no clarity. We have no knowledge of how much black money, as they called it, came into the government, into the banks. Bank managers were found wanting. You have the Prime Minister of India going to Lok Sabha and talking the way he did the other day. It's a sorry state of affairs. But he didn't answer any of these questions. Which bank has this government taken action against?
Speak today here.
I know, I'm waiting. Which bank did he take action against? Which bank manager has been hauled over the coals for the monies that have been given away? Which bank is going to be accountable, and how will the government ensure that they remain accountable in clearing checks in optimum time? Which fora does the citizen go to if the bank is harassing them and not encashing their checks because they are busy clearing the checks of the ruling government and their colleagues? Which bank remains accountable to the citizen? How do you propose to ensure that rural and cooperative banks actually have the money and you will have officers sitting in those areas delivering to the people? All these questions go unanswered and only contribute to absolute madness and mayhem. Sir, unfortunately, this government believes that by appearing on television, by talking irresponsibly, by using the might of mathematics of their numbers in Parliament, that they can subvert democratic processes. But the beauty of India's democracy, sir, as this government will soon come to realize after March 8th, that the fundamental principle of by the people, and that is an expression on other forums, an answer to this kind of arbitrary, unthought of legislations that they bring about and torture the citizen in the name of right and might. So I am concluding. It is this that we need to look at. And Mr. Raja had raised a very relevant point about migrant labor. Is this government aware that our citizens in Jorhat go across to China to work for wages and come back? Do you not care? Do you believe that you can stop them? Will you give them jobs otherwise? Will you ensure social security for them? None of these questions are even addressed, never mind answering, sir. And if this is how the government is going to conduct itself, they must look back at the history where they claim nothing was done for so many years. Sir, if world-class institutions, if ISRO is launching satellites today, if Indian who is every 6th citizen of India is a citizen in the world today contributing to international economies, if you think this is nothing, then after March 8th, sir, they will understand that if nothing else, every citizen has been empowered by this democracy and empowered by the Constitution, we come with the rights that have been given to us. Taking away our right is going to cost you very heavily. Thank you very much.
अगर मेरे को भी तुम 5 साल बिठाते तो जरूर करके दिखाता था। अरे ठीक है, मेरी बात हो गई। मेरी बात जब बोल रहे हैं तो मैं बोल रहा हूं। मैं